How many ballparks you been to?
Yeah.
And he
3.
I've been to them all. And then he said a lot of the things that people here who love the K say about, one of which was parking. Now, he lives in L.A., and if you ever go around L.A., you would understand why
parking's a big
having
deal.
an easy drive into a stadium full of empty parking spaces would hold appeal. We were supposed to do a variety of different things, like film noir type related things. We had a map, and we did about half of them because it takes forever
just to get
anywhere. Like from our condominium to Moose.
What do you mean? You just get on the 10 and take it down to 405 and
there's
jump side of the harbor.
And people don't really use much. There's pretty good public transportation there, but people love their cars there, and it's a big expanse. But we went to Musso and Frank's, which is an iconic Hollywood restaurant, and it was 7.1 miles from our condominium, okay? And much of it was on the highway.
10-minute drive.
55 minutes.
55 minutes.
55 minutes. And that was okay. Everything was. So, it's hard to do a lot. So I get it.
What else did he like about the K?
I think he liked it. No, he didn't like that. He thought the sight lines were good and it was clean and and it was not as he lives in L.A. So it was less expensive to buy stuff within the stadium and things like that. But anyway, so that was an interesting side life. So I understand what people. But Kurtis said it the other day when in some discussion. There was a man who he should live in Kansas City because he likes some parking.
Love that parking.
That parking is, and the new proposal out in Kansas. What for the Chiefs? What they have guaranteed at least 20,000 parking spaces.
300,000.
Lots. I mean, there's space out there,
right?
And they want space. I mean, the Chiefs want space for parking. They absolutely do.
And I got that. That's intrinsic to the experience of the Chiefs is the tailgating, and that is part of the deal. It's part of why people treasure the experience at Arrowhead. But that experience, including tailgating, can really be replicated anywhere. I mean, it's not like there's nothing otherwise iconic to me about it, and people will argue about that as well, including the sponsor of this segment, Joe Spiker, who has, we've argued about that. He loves Arrowhead as a stadium and a time where, place where he's had iconic championship experiences. This argument holds much more water now than it did 7 years ago. When there had been precious
when
little.
they had won 2 postseason games ever.
There'd been nothing happen there. Yeah.
Right.
We'll continue this conversation after the break. I want to talk to you about some of these things we've seen floated out there with possibilities, which I don't think anyone's asked for these renderings. But, they cause a stir. No one's asked for them, but there are people just causing a stir.
The latest one, that's cool rendering. I'd
it's
love
cool.
to talk about
we'll
it.
We'll talk about it next right here on the program. Danny is Unleashed.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Did you experience hail damage last year and never got the work done? Most insurance companies only give you a year to get the roof fixed. And if you don't get it done, you could possibly not be compensated in full for the replacement of your roof. If you've been procrastinating getting that damaged roof taken care of, give us a call at 913-257-5426. And we'll send out an expert to help you through the process. We're never pushy, we're just here to help. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
All right, the Joe's Kansas City Barbecue burnt end of the hour answer. Jackson Merrill of the Padres, second center fielder, 21 or younger. You like that song, Danny?
I do like that song. Very nice song.
I couldn't tell who it was until I heard
thought you were going to read this question better.
I was going to, but I was distracted.
Now you've messed this up.
It's like a bumblebee. I have the attention span of a ferret.
Yeah.
The second center fielder, 21 or younger, hit 6 homers in an 8-game span. Who was the first?
Who was the
Mark Quinn?
Jackson Merrill of the Padres.
Okay.
Second center fielder, 21 or younger.
Well, I'm going to say it was Willie Mays.
It was Willie Mays.
I said Bill Mays, and you said no.
I did not.
Oh.
It was Bill Mays, July 15th to 22nd, 1951.
1951. All right, Danny. So,
did you watch the Rick Wood game?
I did. I watched the last.
I did not have
couple
the
innings
volume up. We were playing poker last night.
It was pretty cool.
Very
I
cool.
did not. I tell you this. I told Drake this earlier. We weren't listening. We were just watching. I didn't need the black and white inning with the non-HD.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. There's only one inning out of a billion innings.
Oh, you didn't see the black and white
inning?
inning?
I was down at an event down at.
You would have loved the black and white inning. They showed the catch on a little TV, and then they segued into the game being presented the same way you would have watched a game then, with bad graphics, and they did
no HD.
They did a horrible split screen, which was authentic with the pitcher and the runner at first, and it sort of diffused into it. I loved it. I thought it was cool.
I want them to keep the Fox box they used last night. I thought it was beautiful.
Yes, it was a good Fox
Please
box.
do.
I agree.
But of course, they'll go back to the crappy one that they've used for the last 4 or 5 years.
Although Fox generally does a lot of things well in presenting sports.
Their baseball box sucks.
I agree it sucks, but they're generally the presentation.
I would rather have a bad baseball box than that black and white crap we're watching last night when they put the balls,
both.
Strikes, and outs on.
You can keep.
Well, you were
Fox
you were playing poker. It was a cool thing. They only did it. They only did it for a half inning,
and then like 6 hours.
And then right at the end, when the third out was recorded, it was like the Wizard of Oz. They diffused it
into color.
Yes.
Very nice.
I thought it was cool.
Check that out.
I like that.
So the Wizard of Oz, we're off to see the Wizard in Kansas. So maybe that's where the Royals and Chiefs could be going.
Do you think Barry Bonds would take Satchel Paige deep?
Barry Bonds would take anybody.
Which
deep.
one?
I don't know. Yeah, either one. Yeah. What would you do? Gone. He wasn't shy about that. Gone. What are you talking about? Gone.
Danny, there.
And which version of Satchel Paige?
Started with these renderings. It started like back in April. There was a rendering out for a possible Arrowhead Stadium. It was out somewhere by the Legends, and then this week another rendering came out. And listen, I'll
say this: the worst rendering that has been done so far was the one with the Chiefs with the football field or whatever.
That was an actual
whatever
plan,
that playland was.
Activation zone.
That was bad.
That was an activation zone, but that was what they actually paid for.
These
things now.
This one just came from
these fantasy ones. I mean, they're
well. Here's what I think is
looking.
happening. I don't think either team has asked this architecture firm to make any renderings. No. I think not the state of Kansas, but someone involved in real estate development, with a some sort of a connection in some way to some of the people in government, have said let's make these plans. Because honestly, listen, nobody asked. Well, I guess the Royals did put out some. They did send us your plans. They said that when Clay County came up with a plan and all that stuff. But no one's asked for these, and it's just the way our world works. Like my wife asked me a couple of days ago, "Did you see this plan? They're going to build a stadium. It's going to be in Kansas City, Missouri." I said, there's no plan for anything like that. This is someone trying to go viral with a plan.
And it worked.
It worked, but it's like...
Well, as Kurtis was explaining in detail during the break, the rendering of what it would look like in the Crossroads, the view is impossible from where they say the stadium is going to be.
Yeah, like where the picture looked more like
the
true West Bottoms,
was
not the south side of the West Bottoms, like where the
I-70 approaching.
Yeah,
when you make that little bend and you cut across the state line, that little corner there. That's where you'd see that.
If you're south of 670, where they have the overhead when you look at it, where Mark I Electric is right now, and the Golden Ox is down there by that and all that.
Right.
And you think the Current has a bad parking situation right now. That picture has about as many places for that. Now, listen,
this thing's like 3 blocks north of Kemper.
If they tore down all the buildings down there on the south side of 670 and made them parking lots, okay.
Yeah.
Then you've got some parking down there. But as someone who from the year 1970s through 2000s has been in that area for rock and roll concerts at Kemper Arena, Kansas City Kings games, American Royal barbecues back in the day, the American Royal actual rodeo at field trips. I would not want to have 30,000 people trying to get out of there on that one road.
Well,
Because the only other way out of there, because the beautiful thing is, hey, look, there's a river there. That means you can't just get out anywhere else. Your choice is to go up onto 670 or south on
that one
Cesar Chavez road to where? I don't know.
I remember the last time that my wife attended the American Royal when it was down there, because we used to broadcast there, so I'd be going down there at
we'd go down there 1 o'clock. We tell our wives, come on down.
Come on down.
Yeah.
She walked 3 miles.
Yes.
She was parked up at the Marriott.
Yes.
I mean, now there's ways.
Probably more people at that than there are at a baseball game, honestly, when those parties were
say
going.
that generally.
They're building a new home for the American Royal out by the Legends, right? So the Hale Arena, would that no longer?
I don't know. I don't know if that'll have.
That would create some space, but that's not even that big.
No,
that would probably be 1,000 spaces, maybe.
But even that's not that close. What they're talking about, you're talking about. Well, anyway.
Kemper's about 3 blocks south of where the stadium would be,
and Hale Arena is
state
south
line
of Kemper in another block.
The road that runs along the west side of Kemper is state line, essentially. It's not called state line, but that's the state line.
Yeah, it's the line.
Everything from the west of Kemper is in Kansas.
Now,
I'm not poo-pooing a bunch of stuff because I know these aren't real drawings that were asked to be put on this certain place by the teams. But you're asking me to poke holes in things just the same way we poked holes in, if people didn't like what was happening in the Crossroads or East Village or North Kansas City or the activation zone at Arrowhead, I'll poke holes in the fact that I think that's a horrible place for a baseball stadium. And the other side of it is,
well, the only fun thing about
it floods.
Right. And the fun thing about it was what the representative talked here about is what they floated as the possibility that you could bat in Kansas and hit the ball into Missouri. And the real benefit of that is because if the games were on television and say the Royals made the playoffs or whatever, or on SportsCenter it just said, look at Bobby Witt. He hit this ball from Kansas all the way to Missouri.
We were joking about how crazy.
And the thing is, what it would do is educate the nation about the geography of our place, which they don't even understand it in any way, shape, or form.
I hadn't thought about that.
We were talking about how so long telling people, no, they're not in Kansas. Now we'll have to tell them again. Well, actually, they're in Kansas.
We would it would drive Chris Berman crazy for the home run derby. He hit it to Altamira. Crap, I don't know.
I don't even know where that one went.
It's Kansas City. Wait a minute.
You hit that one to Lawrence, it'd be backwards.
It was interesting though that
it backwards.
That he said on our show, hit a baseball. Into Missouri be kind of cool. And then 6 hours later, there's a rendition that comes out. And
something tells
the
me
state line.
Mr. Tarwater had seen that.
He might have.
I think he might have. But that's cool. That would be, and like I said, it would be educational. I mean, my easiest answer, people say, "Where I live in Kansas City." Where in Kansas City? I actually live on the Kansas side in Shawnee, but I just say simply, I live about 6 miles from Missouri, which I do. Yeah. So,
someone reached out to me on Twitter and said, "Oh, we tried that area once before; it didn't work." I'm assuming he means Kemper. I'm like, "Oh, you mean a outdated building with no anchor tenant and with nothing around it?" I don't think this is quite the same thing. I think if they did this, there would probably be. You wouldn't just have one restaurant around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, there's an abundance of land down there that's space that's. It's all owned by somebody, but there's not a lot of businesses there now. These are probably, because the crossroads up, in the crossroads districts, we call it now, there are many things that have happened there now. So then you've got some established businesses that people don't want whatever. There's lots of pushback on that. Down there, like if you go to the north side of 670, that's where the haunted houses are. They're open for a month a year, but that's also where a lot of these little antique shops and things like that are that you can go down there on Saturdays, First Fridays.
Yeah,
and all
there's a big building there where I went to an art festival.
There's some restaurants,
or an art exhibition a few years ago where artists were displaying their wares at 40 different little.
Yeah,
their own
little places.
Yeah, their own places where they did their own
wedding venues down there. And the south side where Kemper is, I mean, there's the Golden Ox is back. There's a couple of restaurants down there. There's some offices. There's some industrial type stuff. But I don't think that. But I think that there's more room for growth there in places that were once thriving when the stockyards were down there that aren't there now. So that part, I guess I get that a little bit. But I think the access to that area is horrible. You'd have to. They were talking. I'd listened to this part of the deal in the legislature. There were lots of questions in the Senate about, the cost of this, and they didn't have a real number.